Welcome back to Small Gun Party. We got a fun video today, the one that you all have been waiting for. We're going to take this thing out for a ride and we're going to test these parts, see which parts help with performance and which parts are just on there for a look. Alright, so first things first, y'all already know these are some of my favorites. The Fox Float 3s with the high gear reservoirs. Absolute performance mod, especially the stock 400EX. The stock ones feel like pogo sticks, but when you add these onto a 400EX, it amazes you how good these actually perform on a trail. No bumps at all. People exaggerate. I know I mention this all the time. People exaggerate when they say that they're four-wheeler. You can't feel a bump. This four-wheeler, when I ride it, I really cannot feel a bump. So another one of my favorite mods that really helps with performance is these Alba Racing A-arms. And not just looks, I mean they look amazing, but as far as performance, they also have these camber adjustments. So depending on your riding, if you're riding track, field, or road, you can adjust these to however you prefer to ride. So that's a huge performance upgrade from stock because you just don't get those kind of options on stock. Another thing is, this kind of depends on how you ride too. These are the +1s actually. I mentioned +2 in the last video, but they're not. These are the +1s. And if you're trail riding, you can, a little bit narrow, you can hit trees. But on the road, if you're turning around curves, this thing feels as stable as can be. If I were you, I would go with the stock size if you're a hardcore trail rider, because this width is a little bit too much around a trail. But if you're riding track or you're riding on the roads, by far go with the +1s, the +2s, whatever you want. It really helps with stability. Alright, so many of you quad professionals out there have noticed that our Fox shocks are upside down. There is a reason. Fox doesn't actually make these shocks for the 400EX anymore. So the third time that they sent us the wrong pair, we just went and tested if they fit upside down. They did. We went and asked Fox if they would work. Fox said they'd work just fine, so we've been running them ever since. They work perfectly fine. So if any of you have a stock 400EX, you know that a common problem is the stock brakes on them. So we made a few minor upgrades. By a few minor, I mean huge, ginormous, massive we made a few upgrades. We added 6-piston Pro Run brakes. If you heard my last video, we're just a huge fan of them. And then linked to that is new core brake lines. Core brake lines are just, they hand make them, top of the line brakes. And then adding to that, we added a Beringer Brake master cylinder, and when you combine all these together, you get the best stopping power on a four-wheeler. Okay, y'all, so the main question of this video is, are these parts all worth the money? And some of them are very expensive. And the answer is yes and no. So let's start the list. First of all, Alba Racing, well worth the money. The stability, the grease zerks, the way you can change the ball joints, just really adds to the performance and even maintenance to this four-wheeler. So well worth the money, huge performance upgrade. Second on the list is the Fox shocks. Even if you don't have the reservoirs, huge performance upgrade, especially from the stock 400EX shocks, which are so bad. So huge performance upgrade, Fox shocks, well worth the money. And the high gear reservoirs, if you want to add those two, those are also well worth the money. Pro Run brakes. If you have a stock 400EX brakes are terrible. Pro Run brakes, huge performance upgrade, so much so that we put those on mine as well. So well worth the money. Core brake lines also well worth the money. They go with the Pro Run brakes. On the other hand, the Beringer Brake master cylinder works and works very well. But when it comes down to the money, it just doesn't add to the performance enough above stock to be worth the money. So no, I'm going to go with no on the Beringer Brake master cylinder. It does not add enough performance to be worth the money that you had to spend to get it. So no, not worth the money. The HMF header muffler high performance, not worth the money, because I would just go with the slip-on. The only reason we added this is because our stock header was starting to look kind of bad. So we just went with the whole thing. But no, not worth the money. I would go with the slip-on. Sounds just as good. The new header and muffler didn't add any performance. Maybe it added just a little bit, but nothing you can really tell. So no, I would not go with that. It's not worth the money. But I think that's about it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. We'd really appreciate it. And the next video we're going to talk about is a used 400GX, a good purchase. Should be interesting. Anyways, I think that's it for this video, so thanks for watching.